podcasting.
Bro.
I get thoughts. I'm like on fire right now.
Okay.
Okay, so this is going to be good.
It matches our light then.
It matches. Don't go throwing me already. You're supposed to follow this thought, so it's going to be a fun thought experiment.
I'm supposed to follow your thought.
Yeah, you're
Okay.
gonna. Well, you do so well. I mean, you kind of seem.
All right,
you
let me take a
grab
drink.
this
Let me
end,
take a drink.
You're gonna need one.
All right.
You kind of grab this end and you pull it over here. You pull it back here, and you
don't
kind
know
of
what's in
weave
this
it.
drink just to keep me.
Well, that's. Well, I mean, we're the Rogan experience now.
Something.
Well, why not? We could be.
All right. Fire.
All right.
Thought.
Ropes. Now, you're from a culture that took a little bit longer to progress than probably other inner cities, other cities around the country. Being in Utah, they're pretty culture. Got
Where we were going with
the
this.
Christian culture going on there, and so, but in elementary school, we had these things that were ropes. They dangle from the ceiling. It was super high, at least in my mind's eye. They were enormously high. And they had like 5-6 feet, somewhere around there. They had a little pink thing that for the girls to get to climb up the rope. And this thing is designed to fail. No, 7-year-old should be able to climb that far on this particular rope. But you had a couple. They could just whip right up there, slap that ceiling way up high, and then zip on down. The rest of us weren't doing that. So we were doing the walk of shame after PE. I don't know if you saw these ropes, because by the time I was in 6th grade, there was places for them.
Yeah, no, I grew up in a different decade.
Yeah.
So I know them from the old
Right.
movies and maybe some
It's good.
newer movies that pretend to
So you're part of the dumpster fire.
be. Okay.
That's when the dumpster fire began, because when you graduate high school, when you carry on in life, when you move on and in whatever it is that you endeavor, even if you don't graduate high school, life's full of ropes. It's full of ropes, stuff that you're sitting there and you're feeling like a loser because you can't get halfway up. You start off not even getting to the chick line, and at some point you're slapping that ceiling, and you're feeling like, oh yeah. So that eventually bled into coaches not being able to holler too much at their players or run them for disciplinary reasons or grab them by the face mask or, whatever you guys do in the hoops thing, tie their shoelaces together or whatever you guys do to haze. But there's some good stuff there. But the toughness, the grit, the culture started to decline. And right on my heels, it was declining. I just didn't notice it because we still didn't have water in 115 degrees football practice. It was kind of, whenever you got around to it. And that's just the way it was. We ran till the coach was tired. And if we, screwed something up, the choice language was used, and we were very much put in our place. And if we weren't good, we didn't play. If you complained that the guy in front of you, that you were better than, or if your parents had that kind of audacity, they just didn't have that back then. They just didn't. Now you do. I mean, now you got a line of parents, and usually they're moms, or they're the dads that are sent by moms. But the reality here is the ropes define our culture. Now we have Now we have 70% of our military age people don't qualify for the military. 70%.
Because they can't pass the physical
They
part of
can't
it?
do the physical. They're not physical enough. They've got this allergy. They've got this problem. They've got that problem. 70%. I mean, compared to World War II when it was below 10%,
And that's a cultural issue. I know that's kind of where you're going with this. That's a cultural issue, not just with. I mean, that's a military issue. I heard a statistic the other day. In fact, it was a podcast I was listening to, and it was the old. Remember Cheers?
Oh yeah.
Remember Cliff?
Cliff.
His John Ratzenberger, I think is his name. So
Nice.
he was on a podcast with Woody Harrelson, and I was listening to this, and they were so I guess he goes around the country and talks to communities that have gotten rid of wood shop in school. And
You just can't be doing that.
he had the statistics of basically something similar to the military statistic that basically 80% of kids and new adults don't know how to use tools. And honestly, I'm partly in that. I mean, I'm not as bad as probably my own kids are because I haven't taught them that, and that's on me. But my dad, duct tape was his favorite tool in the phone book. And so I learned how to change a tire and
You got the basics down.
and yeah, I can use a
I was in
screwdriver
wood
and
shop
nails.
for 3 years.
I can build, and I did too. I can do something IKEA, it'll take me way longer than it should, but I don't know if my kids could.
Oh, hold on. IKEA is because you're college educated.
Engineering.
It's college education right there, because to do that takes a work of Congress. I mean, you have to actually
the instructions are in a different
reinvent the
language
whole entire bloody wheel.
But the point being is that's a cultural thing as well, is that manual kind of toughness, tools, getting dirty in your hands. But, my kids could program a computer around me in 1 second.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, we're definitely at a different crossroads right now. And I think that was an interesting statistic that they said they're going around trying to convince, because industries like the construction industry, whatever industry, welding industry, they can't hire anyone because nobody's there skilled enough to do it.
Right.
So we have all this knowledge, all this technology, but nobody there to build the infrastructure, to build the building, to house the technology.
What ends up happening, in my opinion, what I'm seeing in front of my eyeballs, and I need all those people that helped put Trump in to grow up a little bit, pull up some pants now, because we have some drastic culture changing to do, because we've got millions of people that crossed over that border that know how to work a hammer, millions of people that crossed over that border that know how to work a wrench, millions of people that crossed over that border that know how to steal a stereo. We're too lazy to steal those anymore. We've got too many kids that know how to program, and if they wash out of that whole great program and they're not working for Elon Musk before you can say Bob's your uncle, or one of these fancy places, they're just gamers smoking weed in their parents' basement. So we need to bring back shame. We need to bring back absolutes. We need to bring back regs. We need to bring back, what's wrong with me not being able to get up that rope? I couldn't get up the bloody rope, but I kept trying. I kept trying, and the day I slapped that ceiling was a big day for me. Well, what does that mean? Life's full of ropes. No matter how you slice the banana, you're going to walk through this life, and there's going to be a rope here, there, everywhere. And the folks coming across here, they're not afraid to climb them. Yeah. They're not afraid to do it, and we're over here crying about you're taking American jobs. No, you're not. We don't have anybody in line for those jobs.
You'll never have anybody admit that. I mean, you have lots of people admit it that are actually in the trenches.
Sure.
All the business owners are going to admit that. All the labor organizations are going to admit that. But government agencies that are not swinging the hammers are not going to admit that.
So now we have, I agree, but now we have, all right, let's get some wood shop back. Let's start plugging in some, when the last time I saw a kid mowing a lawn, and I'm guilty here.
Absolutely. I'm guilty here. I've had this conversation with my wife.
I have a problem.
I would rather, because what that requires, and here's the ultimate part of it. And so this is a hypocritical statement on me. If I'm teaching my kids to do yard work or making them do yard work every week, that means I have to be out doing yard work every week. Right. And with my schedule, Saturdays, I don't even get Saturday free, honestly. Right. And so with coaching and everything else, that would be the 3 hours that I have to watch a game or whatever else. So selfishly, I'd rather hire my clients.
Right.
To do that.
And
awesome and not awesome at the same time, because I'm losing that ability to teach my kids those things. So I struggle with that. I have that discussion all the time of whether I'm doing a disservice to my kids.
You're not alone in the struggle.
Yeah.
All right. So I've had the same exact conversation with myself. I'm not around a lot, and same exact story. So
I compensate going, okay, I'm spending what I am free time, I'm spending with them, and hopefully that's quality time. I'm not doing anything selfishly, really. But it's still a struggle of that work ethic. I mean, I had an experience. I struggle with this in general, like as a dad, because we were up in Utah doing a big basketball tournament that was they did a showcase tournament for us to come up and play the top 3 teams in the state of Utah. It was kind of a cool invite only thing, and I took my club team up there, and during one of the games, and I coached my own kid, I felt as a coach there was a rebound that my kid could have gotten. He kind of stood flat-footed and didn't go after the ball, and the other kid ended up tipping it out of bounds, so it ended up being our ball. But I immediately turned to our bench and said, go get my kid. I'm kind of hard on him, and he's the first one that's going to get it. And so he came out, and he just wanted to mouth off to me about how it wasn't his ball, and he couldn't have gotten to it anyway, and I didn't want to hear it. And the problem was the parents in this stadium, or in this, wherever we were at, this gym, were on top of our bench. So we didn't have an actual bench. We were on the first row of the bleachers. So all the parents are behind. And it's up in Utah, and so my brothers and sisters are there. Aunts and uncles are there. He's got quite a big thing.
All right,
he's got to be mouthy, but I'm not having it because I'm in coaching mode, and so I'm blinded by anything else out there, and I'm just giving him the business about how I don't care whether you thought you could get that rebound or not. I told you you could, so you just say, okay, coach, I'll try next time, or I got you, instead of barking at me. And so I after the game, so I barked at him. I made him sit for 5 minutes. Unless you can shut your mouth, you're going to sit here until you can stop talking. And that's fine. That happens during games.
Sure.
But the problem was that my niece is there, who's never watched me coach really. And she turns to her dad and goes, man, I could never have my dad coach me, because he and I are similar in personality. And my mom kind of turned to her and said, yeah, but do you know why he was barking at Logan? And she's like, well, I don't know. She's because he was back talking the coach. And you, no matter if it's your dad or the coach, if it's the coach, you cannot back talk. And the only reason he does, it wouldn't be that way if it was somebody else. Like if it wasn't dad, he wouldn't have barked back.
Right.
And so he's like, he's got to make that distinction.
So mom smoothed it over?
So mom smoothed it over, but the niece made the point of, wow, I'm not like that. I'm not a very emotional person, but when I coach, I get a little bit.
Yeah.
So it was surprising to me for my niece to say, oh, he was hot and Logan was getting the business there, and I don't want to ever be in that situation, was kind of her point.
I roll that way.
And I struggled a little bit going, and then I went back and watched film and went, I probably saw it a little bit differently than, and he still could have. The kid was 6'9" that was going after the ball, and I think my 5'3" kid just kind of said, I'm going to get run over, and took one step towards and then let him tap it out of bounds. It probably wasn't as bad as it looked on live. But my point was still, it doesn't matter.
The effort.
Like I'm the coach. If I see it one way, it doesn't matter. Like whether you see it a different way, it's unfortunately.
How many times did we run till they're tired?
Yeah, and
they weren't doing anything. We were the ones running.
Absolutely.
It was the lines.
And that's what my point was to him, and he didn't quite get it. And maybe with maturity it'll come, and hopefully. But that's a thing all the time that I'm dealing with in my own head of, okay, am I too hard? Am I too soft? And so I battled that a little bit after I watched film, going, okay, should I apologize to him? But at the same time, I'm kind of strong in my convictions that it doesn't matter whether I'm right or wrong. I can apologize and say, look, it may be not as big of a non-hustle play as possible, but the point was not, you didn't come out, you would have come out for 1 minute, but instead you came out for 6 minutes and didn't finish the half because you barked at me and you back-talked me. And then the funny part, the other second part with that was, as my mom's explaining that to my niece, there's another mom who's one of the moms of the players, and she piped in and said, and that's why I love Jesse, because there's no nepotism there. There's he's going to hold him in his place. And she's a very kind of
I like this.
All right.
All right. So we've got a military mom right there.
Yeah, she's our mom.
There's very few of those now.
She's
but
she rubs a lot of people the wrong way, but I actually like it because I know where I stand at all times, and she's whatever. And so it's this balance that I'm constantly playing. And then I come home at night and I talk to my wife and go, am I too hard? Am I, whatever. So.
I just think
that kids are soft, honestly.
They're soft. They need the fire lit. Yeah. They do.
Sometimes,
and it's like this. It's kind of like when a kid is born and children thrive on consistency, and they thrive on order, and they thrive on a schedule. Okay, so somewhere along the lines, we've lost this. We've completely lost that. So maybe you shoveled snow
Absolutely.
because you had to, because how else were you getting out of your driveway?
Sure.
And so maybe you did the lawn because things grow very nicely there for 6 months out of the year. So did I. Things don't grow nicely here. And I was still mowing the dead grass and so on and so forth. And anyway, it didn't matter. But the reality is we need to bring back hose water and sweat and a whole lot more toughness, because I bring up the ropes because that defined who was who. And the first time a gal got all the way to the top and hit the ceiling, it was on. About 30-40% of us were hitting that ceiling by the time we got to the 4th, 5th grade. Other ones, no. But nonetheless, it was kind of a I'm not going to say a divide type thing, but it was, you see who the men and the boys are, or who the doers are and who they're not, and who's capable and who's not physically, at least that way. But there was John McGeehan that never was going to make the top of this thing ever in a million years. And not because he's a big fat kid, because there was one of those that did make it. That's bad. That's good stuff. I mean, that's strong. Anyway, but John McGeehan's this little tiny dinky fellow. I don't know if he is now. It was way back then. He was the brainiac, and he just couldn't walk, chew gum, or tie his own shoes, that kind of thing. He was never in a million years going to make it to the girl line, but it didn't matter to him because his next book was waiting for him, but he was still participating. He was still in it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And nobody really, I don't remember anybody getting made fun of.
Yeah, you're wrong. I think that part of it.
Well,
I'll bet
there was shaming going on, not there. That was more, and they call it shaming. I hate the word. There was some, fun being poked at on the playground primarily. I mean, we were
that's
brutal.
And the reason I say that is because that's why culture changed in the first place. It's because now we protect everyone. We protect everyone's feelings. We protect everyone's, and I like that progression in certain respects. And then we lose some toughness in other respects of people being able to overcome challenges and rise to the occasion. And despite everybody else, I mean, sometimes your best motivation is somebody that knocked you down, right? You hear athletes all the time. This person disrespected me, or this person told me I couldn't do it, or this dad said that I couldn't, whatever, and that gave me the motivation to work harder and do whatever else. And now we don't have that because we have nobody telling us that we can't.
So I just told you why. Now I'm going to not try to change your mind that there's nothing good that came from changing this, but I'm going to just lay out my case that there is nothing good that came from changing this. So my era and above. So everybody older than me, I'm 50, so everybody older than me knows that the fat people got made fun of, and the 4 eyes were 4 eyes. I got them now. And the nerds were the nerds, and the jocks were the jocks, and the geeks were the geeks, and so on and so forth. Just watch Ferris Bueller. That gal says it perfectly. Everybody thinks he's a righteous dude. That said, I don't know any of my contemporaries, or many of my contemporaries, not any, but most of my contemporaries are busy doing something, whether that be they own a lawnmower shop that just sold for a handful of $1 million up here, the Mopower, or whether that be they've got a landscaping company driving around town, Goldfinger, gold whatever, or whether it be they've got an asphalt company, or whether it be they're a doctor, or whether it be they're a dentist, or whether it be whatever. There's a lot of industrious people my age and beyond in all sorts of industries, whether they own them, whether they work in them, however you want to slice it. But beneath me, you've got a whole lot of wannabe bosses, a whole lot of wannabe. They ease. They want the ease. They want something that comes a little bit easy. And until there's a shift in that culture, and the shift obviously is a parent shift, but it really is a male shift, frankly, because males have been kind of tamped down just a little bit because, well, why is it a problem that that the coach is grabbing my kid's helmet and shaking it around, hollering at him? He jumped off sides twice in a row. I mean, I get that, right? But all of a sudden, now, my brother, who's just a few years younger than I am, is like, oh, that's not right. What do you mean that's not right? That kid would be not playing another down until he, watch the daggum football. It's not that hard. And he's going to run until I'm tired. I mean, that's the way that you get that discipline. That's the way that you get that. People don't remember that MJ didn't just walk into the NBA and become Michael Jordan. Right. I mean, he went through 6 years of a battering ram. I mean, Larry Bird had his pants down around his ankle all the time. The Pistons beat him to a pulp all the time. I mean, his first 6 years were pretty dadgum brutal. He's not who he is without that rope, without that education. I mean, here he's walking in. He's got a gold ring on his finger from, no, gold medal. It's a gold medal. Also, I think he won the national championship as well. I mean, he's pretty highly touted, but he got knocked down pretty quick. I mean, everybody's gunning for him. Probably one of the people that related to him most was Larry Bird, because everyone was gunning for him too, coming out. So I just think it's interesting that it's through these difficulties, it's through these failures that we're not allowing the zero gravity that we've created to where the kid doesn't hit the ground, to where we vet the play date, to where we, wait a minute, is that really an ice cream truck? I mean, I don't know if those exist anymore. I mean, the fact that the matter is that we have food trucks that are gourmet now is a problem too. But I'm getting off track now. Because we used to call those the roach coach. I mean, we're not supposed to get fine cuisine, but those trucks spit out some pretty good stuff now. True. Anyway, look, I just think that we're sitting here and we're about ready to embark on a very, very, very troublesome scenario with the immigration. Because what we're going to do is we're going to tighten down the border. You know what's going to happen. You know what's coming.
Heard 100 executive orders on day one.
We're just going to, that border's going to be shut down. We're going to have nobody coming in, nobody, blah, 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 blah. We're going to be hunting for them over here. We used to call those Arpaio sweeps. Now we're going to have federal ones. We'll probably call them, Homan sweeps or whatever we're going to call them. But the reality is you're going to have a lot of shadows and a lot of hiding outs and a lot of employers that don't know what to do. Yeah. A lot of small businesses, big businesses, all businesses that don't know what they're going to do. And I don't believe that the zero gravity generation, and I'm going to call out Charlie Kirk, and I think he's very bright, but I think he needs to look at it this way, and I think Holman needs to look at it this way, and I think the policy needs to be addressed, much like we've talked about, and I'm very passionate about it, and it's interesting because I know you are too, because you're boots on the ground and have been forever, but you just don't see that ever happening. You just figure politics is going to get in the way, and everybody's going to step on their shoelace. Everyone's going to step on their daggum shoelace. I had a kid in here. I don't want to get your opinion on this. I like this guy a lot. Runs a law firm. He's a high producer, 31, 32-year-old. Does pretty well for himself. It's kind of impressive. I remember being that age and not,
doing what he's doing,
scraping right on by, just barely by the hair of my chinny chins. And I didn't have the good beard going back then. I don't think I did.
At that time,
no. I don't think I did. No, I came on later. But anyway, and he's all automated. No, you're not going to speak with an attorney. They're busy in court. you're going to speak with my sales person, and I'm going to get you a video of this and a video for that to update you and a video for this. Now, I think there's a certain spot for technology, and of course it can aid in in the ability to represent clients and such. But that personal touch, that looking somebody in the eye and seeing what you're fighting for, and they see you and who's fighting for them, or one of our attorneys here, one of yours over there. If it's not you, it's one of the other ones that are fantastic, but they get to see that and have that experience. I feel like that isn't going to go away.
I hope not. I mean, that's the one thing so yeah, like you said, there's value, and I see guys that are killing it doing that automated system, whether it be, and they even charge for consultations as if it were a consultation with an attorney, and it's basically a salesman. Yeah, it's a legal assistant that can't analyze the case properly, but promises the world, and more than anything gets the price. And I don't know if they're compensating those assistants if they get. I mean, there's some kind of system going on with.
They're getting compensated,
and with the immigration attorneys as well. In fact, when people complain about, we have a small, it's less than $100 consultation fee to come in and see us. But when people argue about that, I always ask, there's another guy that does it down the street for free. Okay. Are you actually speaking to Guy? Well, I don't know. We'll call him and ask him. No, that's always the answer.
Right.
It's never, they're not speaking with the attorney. No wonder they're going to give him a free consultation because they're speaking with the salesman. Right. And so the one thing we've always maintained is look, I handle 99%, unless I've got some kind of family emergency or some schedule conflict, I always meet the client the first time. It's just the way we've done business, the way I want to continue to do business. It's me. It's my face. I want to be the one that they can look at and say, okay, I know who the face of the firm is, and if I have problems, I can come to that person and schedule something at any time. And so I've created a model where I can be in the office, where I don't have to, luckily for me, I don't have to be in court a lot and don't have to do, the minutia of the day-to-day of the stuff outside of the office. But inside the office, I want to be the face, and I want to be that person. And so that's why we do that. It's why we set it up the way we do. And we've been able to be successful at that. Now, I think there's probably scaling and growth that I've missed out on by doing that, because I could have a bunch of salesmen and we could be doing 3 or 4 at a time. And for me, I get booked out literally a week in advance. And you can't see me for a week, but it's helped me stay in my peace of mind of still providing boutique service as a law firm, to be able to feel like I'm involved in everything. Whether I end up being involved in the filing of your paperwork or just reviewing it, I still want to be the person that analyzed your case, that told you it was a good case, that told you what pitfalls were there. So if it ever comes back, I can say, okay, look, when you met with me the first time, here's my notes, here's what you said, good or bad, this is what ended up happening, but I analyzed your case from the beginning. And that also helps me keep responsibility of the cases and whatever else. So I get that. I don't like that. And I think there's opportunities that I'm missing out on, but I have no compulsion to change right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure you're missing out or not. You're an athlete, so you've had surgery.
And when I mean missing out, I mean just maybe revenue. Maybe
I understand.
As much money as
I understand.
But
we're somewhat automated to a degree, but as far as folks that have legal questions and a legal matter, they're going to be speaking with those in the trenches, and that's just period, end of story.
Yeah.
So boutique, or you call it what you will, but we take that time because we want to set the expectation. We want to set that pace immediately.
And we've lost a little bit of that. I love going into a restaurant where I ask the person, at the counter, hey, what's the best sandwich here, or whatever else. And I can immediately tell who the owner of, or the manager, or the son of the owner, or whatever it is, by the way they answer that question. And I always have it's always a better feeling for me when I know that owner's behind the counter and
she knows I do this
sandwich and whatever else. And so for whatever reason, that gives me a little bit more peace of mind, and hopefully that's what I'm providing and why we've been able to maintain the business that we maintain.
Because most of the time, the answer is, I have never had that.
Yeah. No.
Most of the time.
Or I can tell they're lying. Everything's good here. That's a worst answer
That's a bunch of crap. There's a number 7 that tastes like an armpit. I'm going to tell you right now. So whatever the case might be, but no, I ask it all the time. Well, what's your favorite? Oh, I've never had that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you're dead to me.
Yeah, that's
and
exactly right.
and you're not going to be here the next time I come, if I ever come back. Yeah. And so when I walk into bashes and I see I got to check myself out, I complain about that. I'm that guy.
That I don't care about.
Right. I'm literally becoming Clint Eastwood in Gran Torino. I just, what happened?
That grocery store, and I don't shop very often, so this is
me. I mean, I kind of like it, but
good.
The reality to me is I can't stand the self-checkout. I go grab the dude and say, hey, listen, just stand here because I'm going to screw this up at least every time I put something through. And anyway, look, I don't like the automated. I miss the human touch. And that, so back to where I was going with the ropes. So there's a couple of movies that come to mind, and then I'm going to wrap it up with a song that's interesting.
Wow.
I'll probably have, I'm not going to sing.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
Jeez. I'm going to wrap it up with a song.
Okay, no, look, no. I get Caden out here, and he can start singing the Star Spangled Banner or something. I don't know.
Oh, no, that's not a good thing to admit.
Well, could you know the words to Paradise City by Guns N' Roses? Just go yes. Just go with a solid yeah, probably. Yeah, and let's go. All right, so Goonies.
Been a long time, but yeah.
Sure.
It's Outer Banks now is the modern Goonies, but
so you got the Goonies. You got what's that? The baseball movie with the kids there, the Sandlot.
Now, that's one of my favorites.
Let's go with Sandlot since everybody identifies with Sandlot. Look at all the different characters in Sandlot. That's what America was. That's America. That's our culture. And we expect people to come in and comport to our culture, to be part of our culture, to be invited in. Look at Sandlot. Yeah. And the different ethnicities and all of that jazz and in the Sandlot alone. That's what we expect, and that's what we should expect. And we need to step off of what we got going on here, because we got a lot of people and a lot of money about to be spent and a lot of issues with this that I foresee being a big blow up in our face, unfortunately, because we've lived it here in Arizona. The rest of the nation will just pull in our pio in Arizona and chase our tail, much like we saw it, unless we figure this out, which you and I haven't figured out, but Charlie Kirk needs to pay attention to us because we need more than 1,000 subscribers to get his attention, apparently. But we have 1,000 now, 1,000 something. And we're growing right along. So anyway, this young kid's doing great for himself, but I feel like, you know what? That is who we are. That's who I'm. I refuse not to be Sandlot.
We made 40 cents yesterday.
40 cents.
Nice work.
Hold on. Do you have 20 cents? I got to get that
split it with me?
Westover. Okay. This is a payday, man.
Sweet.
I know, 20 cents.
40.
No.
But no,
Yeah,
20. It's fitty. Look, I can't roll this without Westover.
Yeah, you're good.
Anyway, okay. Keep the change.
You're good.
Anyway, the point is that's who we are, and we've forgotten it. And we need to get back to those roots. We need to get back to it, and that's parents need to be paying attention. Kids are paying more attention than parents are to this kind of stuff.
And I think you hit the key word on the nail on the head there. And it's never going to go back to everything that you talked about and all the nostalgia that you grew up on. It's just not. It's just there's a lot of cultural progression that happened that, whether good or bad, that's just not going to go back. However, I agree with you that roots, that foundation can change. That foundation can be built back on families, back on hard work, back on grinding, all those things that we've kind of lost. And then we can add, things that we felt like we've improved on, and hopefully that builds a better house than we had in the 80s, but it's still based on that same foundation.
That's a great point. A 70s house. Let's talk about a 70s or 80s house with
a refrigerator, man.
Oh yeah, with that would or
My
refrigerator.
my grandma gave us her freezer. I don't know when she bought that thing, but it's still in our garage cooking like a champ. But the freezers I've bought since my marriage, all of them have
we need a refrigerator around here. Ours just went out.
Yeah.
Funny you should say that.
No, they just made it.
They don't make them the way they used to. I get what you're saying. The housing market, somewhere in the 70s with the low ceilings, the popcorn, yada, yada, they weren't well made. They were spitting out a ton of homes right up until Carter put a pretty good halt to things. Because, I mean, this place was... Anyway, again, I'm going to end with that song. Can you look up... No, but it's a fantastic song and all. No, okay, all right, boy. Gangster's Paradise. We got Paradise. No, what else is new? Cody Jinks. Tell me what year that was done, and then let me read from your phone because it's bigger than mine.
2015. You want the lyrics?
Yeah, that's all I want is the lyrics. It's 2015. Cody Jinks. Okay, so he's a country guy.
Sounds like
kind of old school or throwback. Kind of like a. He's worth listening to. Okay. He's good stuff. California's still on fire. Remember, 2015.
Wow.
California's still on fire, and it don't rain no more in Texas. There's a few less ice caps way up north of here. Mother Russia stays pissed off. Yeah, she's got some big old bombs, still throwing her weight after all these years. And the price of gasoline is enough to make you scream. The cost of living goes up and the pay goes down. I don't care what's right or left, y'all. I'm just out here with the rest. In the middle class, that still means broke to me. I hear this song.
Pretty apropos even today.
And it's 2015. And look at what we're dealing with right now. We're staring right down the barrel at California on fire, Californication. You've got...
No rain in Texas.
Ain't no rain in Texas. And you got Russia. Inflation. You got... eggs are up again. This is fantastic.
$9 for eggs.
My friend who lives in Alaska, like a dozen eggs cost like $36 for her, which was crazy.
No.
But she lives in like a small fishing village, so it's like, a little bit more expensive, but it's ridiculous still.
Yeah, go.
I mean,
that's one reason not to
$11 is what she paid the other
11 bones? Yeah, no, they're up again.
Up in Utah.
Well, you can't even get them at the Costco.
Yeah. No, that's...
We need our culture back. And so these people that were calling out saying, look, this immigration thing really needs to be, this is our shot at some of that slice because these people want to come and be Americana. That's fine. Let's start being Americana first. Let's start going there. But then we also need policies around this. And I know that you look at this thing and you see the hurdles because it's always been political.
Yeah, because we've got that pendulum swing like that we talked about, right? Because we went so far this way.
Now we're going.
Now actually would have been left.
Yeah.
And now we're going to, instead of, like, there's things that need to be absolutely shut down. And so shut the border down in the sense of, like, yeah, let's get these asylums wrapped up. Let's get felons out of here. All of that I'm totally in support of. The challenge is that if you went on this rhetoric of, like, let's just get rid of everyone.
Right.
And
that's a little.
Whoever is not thinking that we are not built on the backs of immigrant labor here, and that's why our economy stays the way it is lying to themselves. And so that's the Charlie Kirks that unfortunately
they just don't know it yet.
Yeah, they've never lived through it,
right?
And so it's easy for you to say, yeah,
they didn't climb
we're
the
not going
rope.
to miss 20 million people that build our houses and 20 million people that clean our hotels. If you don't think you're going to miss them,
and I know
a lot of the industry.
There's one person that I know knows this, and he so happens to own a lot of hotels and a lot of hospitality industry.
So let's see.
And so the reality here is they need you and me. They're going, okay, this is the way it's going to work, and this is why the American people.
But you swing.
Yep,
into
the
middle.
Yep, you swing
so that we can bounce
here.
A little bit.
You put that drag bunt down, just so pretty. And it's a beautiful sight. But yes, you don't want to overswing. Oh, a golf thing for you. You don't overswing. That's as bad as underswinging.
Absolutely. It won't go very far.
Well, it doesn't go very far the right way. It goes very far the wrong way.
Even overswinging. I mean, technically, getting to the golf, the mechanics of it, if you overswing, it won't go as far.
You got to rub this in, don't you?
So.
You got to rub this in.
Either way. It may go far right, but you just swinging hard doesn't necessarily mean.
I like to think that I'm hitting it 400 yards.
Because
it just so happens to go 100 this way, and another 100 that way, and another 100 that way, and then kind of almost boomerangs. Yeah. It's like almost a talent.
No, it can be, yeah.
You know, it's like a quarterback scrambling, and they run 50 yards, but they only gain a yard and a half.
Yeah. No, so that's what I said. We'll see. I don't like hearing, I love hearing that, hey, we're going to get things done. I don't necessarily, and I don't know what the details of it, but to hear that there's 100 executive orders that you're going to try to enforce in day one without.
Look, you're trying to bring
to
down.
Focus.
You're trying
I tell
to
my kids, if you got 50 balls in the air, 49 of those are going to fail or they're not going to work. And so you've got to take it one at a time. Juggle your one ball, get your schoolwork done, then take the next ball. And I got some kids with ADD, and they need that reminder. Like, you can't be listening to your music, doing homework, and lifting weights at the same time and talking to your girlfriend on the phone. Like, that's my 17-year-old. And he wonders why he does homeworks until 10 o'clock at night.
But I can't do anything but one thing at once.
And
I don't know if I'm undiagnosed, but
that's the point.
I got to focus.
So that's my thing for president. President, let's do this. Let's do border first. Let's get it done.
Go ahead, and done is better than perfect.
If we get 6 months and it takes that long, then do it. And then after 6 months, let's work on this category. But if we're going to throw all of the ball, and we don't have the money for it, and nothing is. So look, we'll see what happens.
Freaking Kirk, get us into Mar-a-Lago. We need look, we've got to come. We've got to tackle this, because I guarantee you that we will come to you, dear. I guarantee you that once this gets explained the way we talk about it, once it comes out the way we do it, and we hold Congress to, we at least get their attention. Then we do it. Then they got to watch, and they got to see the revenue savings, and they also got to see the humanity of it, because that census part of how many workers do you need, Caterpillar, how many workers do you, blah, 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 blah. What's the workforce look like? What does the work visas or the work permits look like this year, 2025? They should look different than 2024, and they should look different in 2027, so on and so forth. Once it starts to make a whole hell of a lot of sense, then you've got the voters out there going, that makes a hell of a lot of sense. And now you've got a bunch of people, whether they have a D in front of their name or an R in front of their name, that their people back wherever they're at, whether it be Michigan, Martha's Vineyard, whether it be the bluest of blue in California and or Texas, which is our problem. We'll get there. We're gonna have to take down Texas, Jesse. And everybody that knows anything about Texas, that's doing something. But it can be done. Ohio State just did it, so it can be done. We're going to be doing it. All right, don't get her started on ASU. Okay, so what were you saying?
I was going to say, did you know that Trump announced the ERS, the External Revenue
Service,
that's going to go to all of our debt around the world and collect with the same...
It's still another ball, and we're talking about...
like I said, I love all
I like the idea.
He already has it in place, ready to go day one, he said.
But here's my problem is I'm going to repeat it. If I've got to put, in order for me to get stuff done, and I don't think I have ADD at all, but I've got to put a list down of to-dos, right? And I cross them off, and I love my lists. I love going boom, because I see it at the end of it. But each one of those tasks are not, this is accomplishable on Thursday.
Right.
This is going to be, here's my week. This is what I'd like to cross off. And even if I get to Friday and I haven't crossed out, I start over on Monday and I add some things to the bottom of that list, and we just keep going down. I don't love that all of this needs to be done on Thursday. So hopefully.
Done is
because
we
overswing when we do that, right?
We overswing. So I'm similar. Okay, so my the way my juice squeezes is I can't plan for a week.
Your wife knows that, not me.
Anyway. I can't plan for a week. So undiagnosed ADD or whatever, I can't do it. But I am a really good on-track person. I plan the day before. Every night, I plan the next day. And if there's a pivot that needs to happen, which oftentimes there is, I pivot.
Yeah.
And
I'm
so,
similar.
that's really how I roll. But the reality here is this immigration thing is a big deal. And I just quoted a song from 2015. Do we want to be singing that? Because we are singing it in 2025, only it's a little bit more flames from, I mean, it's warmed up over here, given that California is literally on fire. I lived through the first one I've ever heard of in 2001. You can look that up, 2001 San Diego fires. The place, and a ton of insurance companies are pulling out and so on. I mean, it's going to be a cluster on all levels. It's a 5-alarm mess. But I lived through a fire right there in San Diego during law school in 2001. And it was, I mean, this one that we're looking at right now that one was pretty catastrophic, honestly. But, life kind of marched on. But this one, this is going to be like Judge Dredd.
Yeah, whole cities wiped out.
I mean, it is really nasty. So what we got going on here is, okay, California's still on fire. This is back in 2015. Or should we wish to go back to the 70s? Living it up at the Hotel California. Okay, that whole entire song's about how California's going down. How about in the late 90s, Californication? That whole song. So this is not new. So, and I know we're picking on California a little bit right now, but we're talking about our culture as a whole right now. And California does have a lot to do with our culture. Mm-hmm. So if we still want California to be on fire in 2035, let's just keep on going and and keep on being ignorant. Or let's start toughening up some. Let's get back to work. Let's get back to roots. As you said, I like the way you put that. Let's get back to that root to where we can really not have 50 balls in the air. Let's have one and then maybe add another and another. Line upon line, precept on precept. And that's where the folks out there watching this, because I know Charlie Kirk's going to tune in on this one, and Glenn Beck and PBD and Rogan, and they're going to invite us on, and they're going to say, how are you going to fix this? And we're going to end up going in front of Congress saying, we don't care about you guys right now, just watch what we do, and then you're going to pass what we do into law, fine, great, blah. And we'll actually have the mechanism in place, boom, 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 and it makes sense to the voters, and it derives a revenue from those that have crossed our border illegally. Some of them definitely need to be sent back, and some, maybe their penalty looks different.
Yeah.
Amen.
Amen.